Good evening, everyone. Stay Weird 1993 here, or Stay Weird 1993 vlogs if you're following me on YouTube. Welcome back to the stream. We're just going to carry on doing our casual leveling stream here with this hunter. So Dragoil here, we got into level 76. We had a few bad run-ins with the good old LFD system in our previous entries, and also we had toddlers running around. So hopefully this one's going to be a little smoother and less chaotic. That said, it is Saturday night. Got a beer, enjoying some Dead Pony Club, courtesy of Amazon Prime Now today. So, even during times of crisis, I can still have a 12-pack of beer delivered to me at 2 hours' notice. That's the world we live in. It's a crisis, but you can still have alcohol delivered straight to your door. So, thanks for that. And cheers to everybody who's going to work, keeping the country running, to the NHS especially, and all the care workers, everybody who's working their asses off to make sure people are safe. And to the rest of us who get to stay at home, get your ass indoors and just listen to the social distancing rules, and this will all be over by the end of May. Skål. So, the plus side of having some absolutely disastrous runs means that surely the runs that we have can only get better with regards to what happened earlier, because we had an Oculus run where we had two healers who apparently weren't healing properly, and then we had it where people were just attacking the boss without everyone being present and then blaming the people who weren't present. It's like, just wait for people, man. Finally subscribe to Disney Plus. So it was an absolute shit show, to be honest with you. That was the LFD that I ran earlier. It was horrific. I've mained a tank for so long that seeing what was happening in that instance as a DPS, it gave me anxiety. It's like I was watching it all unfold, just wanting to scream. Well, yeah, that's why I enjoy it when I'm tanking, because then it's like, well, I know there's not going to be a bad tank other than me, whatever skill level that actually is. So, but that said, I'm enjoying DPS. It is a less stressful role, and as I say, the Hunter, I'm having a lot of fun with this, and I thought I wouldn't. Just because I'm so not a ranged player, but then Hunter just doesn't feel like a caster. It's different. It's its own thing. Yeah, sometimes what I think the key is with WoW is it's such a vast game with such a vast different, a vast different toolkit on how to play. The problem people have is, if you're like me, is that I got set in my way of playing either melee DPS or tank. Mainly tank. And that's all I did. That's all I did. And then I was wondering why I was feeling burnt out and bored when I got to end game content. And I'm like, well, I'm doing nothing different. I've done nothing different since Wrath of the Lich King. So, doing something, as I say, I've messed with the Hunter before. Like, I got up to Wrath. I got up to this sort of tier with a Hunter before, maybe a little further, but it was just a character I used to dick around on. I wasn't focused on it at all. It was just something I went to when I was bored. Whereas this, I want to level it, and I want to level a shaman, and I want to level probably a rogue. But that's all to come. I want a different set of alts and mains to take into Shadowlands.
Yeah.
I want to do something completely aside from what I've done before. And that's so that I don't get bored. So I've still got my heirlooms. 4 and 5. Basically, I keep unequipping them when I get a nice piece of mail gear, and then like wondering why I'm not getting as much EXP. You see, rogues seem like fun, but they are melee DPS. Which I've been trying to avoid because that's all I ever play. We're going to do Gondrak. I was talking about how throughout Wrath, a massively underrated but amazing zone is the Grizzly Hills. Yeah, it's different playstyles, true. And but what I was saying about the Grizzly Hills, this is my favourite zone probably in the whole game. I just love it. It just reminds me of the countryside in Scotland where I used to go on holiday, to be honest, because we used to go to this place where we were in a log cabin, surrounded by this. Oh yeah, and I appreciate there's a delay. There's like a 5-second delay off the stream. Someone's declined. Ugh. But the rogues, I imagine, are very different. Oh, Nexus, cool. A very different playstyle. Because you're a builder-spender class and you rely on stealth. I imagine you can make a pretty cool... If you're playing Maghar, which is probably what I'm going to play, to be honest, for my rogue, it would be either Troll or Maghar, but I haven't got Zandalari, so probably a regular old Troll or Maghar, because if I was doing Maghar, I could do like a Bleeding Hollow. Undead Rogue? I suppose I could, yeah. But then I suppose it depends on what the class fantasy you want is. Do you want like a Deathstalker, or do you want an Assassin, or do you want like a shadowy, like a Shadowstalker Troll style? Oh yeah, those who didn't tune in yesterday, this here is I managed to, on my first attempt, when I first rolled up in Grizzly Hills, I managed to get my Ghost Bear Arcturus pet, and I was like, hell yeah, that's quite rare apparently, because I remember when I did play a hunter and I got to around Northrend level, me and my buddy camped out waiting for this pet. I mean, I've named mine Frankosh, but yeah, literally, it's on my stream. I fly straight into Grizzly Hills, straight to where the spawn is, and he's just there. He's just there. I was like, hell yeah. I was like, okay, well that's a sign I should be playing this class. I couldn't believe it. I thought, okay, we'll do a flyby because we're on. We'll do a flyby because we're on stream. You know, in terms of shaman, I'd like to make a Maghar shaman, but maybe even a high mountain.
I do not have a target.
Maybe even a high mountain shaman would be cool. But I don't have the high mountain unlocked. I'll be honest, I didn't do many of the rep farms. My bad, but you know, I did Maghar because I wanted Maghar. If you, I'm gonna say if you're still questing through Draenor, I love the zones. I'm just not a big fan of. I love Draenor for what it is, but you know, it wasn't. I'm gonna say the expansion wasn't the best. I just love Draenor for what it actually is, because again, I'm a huge fan of the orcs, and I love Frostfire Ridge. Frostfire Ridge was a good zone, and I really did enjoy. I enjoyed Frostfire, and I liked the Spires of Arak. I really did enjoy those zones. But my favourite zone is still Frostfire, because Frostfire and Nagrand. But Nagrand's a given because Nagrand is just gorgeous.
I need to target something first.
And I think that the ending of Nagrand. We're talking the confrontation. Yeah. I was like, oh, that's brutal. I remember watching it thinking, that was brutal. Yeah, Thrall versus Garrosh. It's not a spoiler, it's been years. But it was like, yeah, I remember thinking, that's brutal. I mean, Thrall cheated. I mean, Garrosh did nothing wrong anyway, but it's like, you know, they actually did make it emotional, and you know, it was, to use a wrestling term, but a squash match. Really, it was. It was like it was pretty intense watching what happened. I was like, you didn't have to do. It's like Thrall, you could have probably beat him anyway. You didn't have to, with the hand and the lightning and the. That was pretty brutal, to be fair.
I do not have a target.
They definitely wanted to. They really wanted to sell the whole. But the thing is, what frustrated me about how, obviously, I appreciate Garrosh, you know, was a villain to a degree, but I feel sorry for him simply because of, like he says, that Thrall made him war chief and then just sort of left him with a broken horde, and was like, "Yeah, you fix this. I'm out, man." Thrall just pieced out to go and become like a paragon of the world and a green Jesus, and it's like, I'm gonna go one-shot Deathwing. You look after the shit show, and that's the horde. And it's like, sure, but I don't think that makes Garrosh a villain. Garrosh just did the best he could with what was happening. We're gonna open another beer. This one is the Brewdog Hazy Jane. Yeah, and then that was the thing. He crossed the line when he basically the moment Garrosh crossed the line was when he pushed the heart of Yasiraj into the pools at the Vale of Eternal Blossoms. He went from unorthodox horde leader to straight up, I'm just going to use the old god's power, which is exactly the point I was trying to make about the horde and the orcs not using corrupted power. You know, that's what bothered me. Sorry, I'm a bit distracted, guys. Just dropped something. I'm trying to work out what it was that I dropped. Other than the ball.
You know what they say about curiosity.
You know what, we'll do it after the boss fight.
I am out of range.
Yeah, so that was my problem with Garrosh, is that he's not a villain as such. He just made some really stupid decisions right at the end. Like, when it mattered, he screwed up. You know, he decided that using the power of an old god was appropriate to win, and he destroyed the homeland of the Pandaren trying to do that. Sorry, guys. I've dropped just a bunch of stuff, and then my beer decided to overflow, so just a second. Yeah, so it was much more about what happened with the Shah. When he messed with the heart of Yasarj, that was when he crossed the line from controversial leader to villain, for me, at least. I mean, maybe I'm just being a little bit too reasonable because I'm a huge orc fanboy. But at the same time, I feel like he wasn't really a villain until he did that.
Too far away.
Sylvanas Windrunner. What's my stand on Sylvanas? Okay. Where do I start? So, personally, I don't agree with her methods. So, outright nuking. I just pulled that mob by mistake. Outright nuking Lordaeron was not a good move. So nuking Lordaeron wasn't a good move. But then also I think that what the problem with Sylvanas is, and I think what we don't understand enough about the process of becoming undead. Now, we know that based on what we hear about being resurrected into undeath does to somebody's soul, so how a banshee is created and things like that is how it amplifies the negative emotion. So Sylvanas might have been in life a perfectly reasonable elf, but then when she ascended into undeath because of Arthas, she became full of hatred. Like hatred, rage and anger. So really, she's dealing with the effects of undeath. And yeah, so that was to illustrate, because what we know about when people are raised into undeath is that it does things to them emotionally. So we know that it changes the way they feel and what they can feel, and not what they can feel, but what they do feel. So the undead feel a lot more anger and hatred and stuff, because these seem to be amplified by undeath. Now Sylvanas, she was forced into undeath against her will. She didn't choose to become a banshee. She didn't choose to become Scourge. So she broke free of Arthas, and she was so vengeful and so angry. She wanted her revenge at any cost, and she didn't get it because Arthas was dead when she. If you read the Edge of Night, Arthas was already dead when she got to the top of the Citadel. Bolvar was already sat there. So she lost her chance and she threw herself from the top of the Citadel because she decided that her mission was over. And she was offered a bargain by the Valkyr, and what we've come to learn is that also the jailer, during this time, so because she saw darkness, yeah, she throws herself off because she's like, well, she has no reason to live because Arthas is now dead. But what she was given was another opportunity by the Valkyr, who said to her, you know, there's more to life than this. You know, she struck a bargain with the jailer and the Valkyr. Now, that's when that happened, from what we've been told. So the machinery of death has been broken since then. And she came back, and distinctly after Wrath, she became a lot more, not edgy as such, but she became a lot more decisive. She started raising her own undead a lot more. She cared less about her subservience to the Horde, and she realized probably that she had the backing of something from the other side, which would mean that even if her faction betrayed her, it was inconsequential to her mission. So seeing how she's evolved, I'm actually really happy with her character arc. I don't like what she's doing, and I get it. Like, I'm not saying she's right, I'm saying I understand. It's like, I understand why she's doing what she's doing. I'm not saying it's the right thing to do. But she feels, for example, with death especially, that there shouldn't be like a ruler of death. So, for example, the reason she hates, well, you see, if you watch the Shadowlands cutscene, you see her dethrone Bolvar in this cutscene, and it was sick. But people are going, oh, she's playing 4D chess. She's like, oh, she knows this. She's got this massive plan and all this sort of stuff. Like, no, she's not playing 4D chess. Everything she's said and everything she's planned has been clearly laid out. But the thing is, my problems with Sylvanas are the burning of Teldrassil, because there, you know, it was the killing of innocents. It wasn't. They hadn't done anything to her. If it was the burn, if she decided that she was going to rip down Icecrown Citadel, then maybe I'd have been like, yeah, okay, that makes sense, but she didn't. Instead, she burnt Teldrassil down, and she went after Gen. But the thing is, her and Gen have got personal beef. She did kill his son. He ruined whatever she was doing in Stormheim with that lantern that she got from Helya. I still think we're going to see Helya. I think we'll see Helya in Shadowlands, because we know that where Helya is in Helheim is part of the Shadowlands, if we read the expanded lore. So that means that, theoretically, we could see Helya again in Shadowlands, because we know she's still alive.
I do not have a target.
Not only that, but Helya and Sylvanas have a deal. So I want to know how that's going to play into what's happening in Shadowlands. My opinion of Sylvanas is I like her as a character. I don't like her actions. But the thing is, a good character doesn't mean I have to like them. A good character is just a character that makes you feel a certain way. So, for example, Game of Thrones, perfect example, Joffrey is a very good character. And the reason Joffrey is a very good character is because he makes you hate him. By being despicable. By being horrific. So she's a very well-written character because she makes people think, oh, what's she done now? What is she going to do next? Come on, you know. And when she killed Sourfang, that was upsetting. That was the first time we saw her otherworldly powers, which was interesting too. Yeah, it's like, I do love Sylvanas as a character. I think she's great. Like, I think she's well written. I think she's well developed, and there is a clear character arc. Like, you can see where she's going. No, she didn't kill Cairn Bloodhoof. That was Magatha Grimtotem, who poisoned Garrosh's axe before the Mag-Garah. It was Magatha Grimtotem who poisoned Garrosh Hellscream's axe, Gorehowl. So it was Magatha. Again, another interesting character who's been in the shadows. I want to see more of what's going. What are the Grim Totem doing? Because the Grim Totem to the Tauren are what the Dark Irons are to the dwarves. It's like, I'd love to see the Grim Totems get more involved with the Horde as such, because what I thought was an interesting development for her was especially with Sylvanas, was how in the Battle for Azeroth cinematic she screams for the Horde with such passion, like, and now because she's realised that she is their leader, and that was really inspiring, funny enough, I thought. But then to hear the same woman scream that the Horde is nothing, so that means that she had to get the Horde to believe in her, but she really was indifferent to even her own people's lives because of whatever she's planning. Now, whether or not her actions are just or fair or whatever is going to... I don't know whether what Sylvanas has done was the right course of action. And the reason I don't know that is because we don't know what's going to happen next. Because we could... I mean, it's a bit of a trope, I suppose, but if we got to Shadowlands and saw why she was doing this, and there's a really good reason, and it was Sylvanas was right about this, but we just couldn't see, because we hadn't seen what she had seen. It's a little bit of an Illidan situation again, but they've already done it, but I feel like what they need to do in Shadowlands is get us to understand her motives more, but they've done a really good job of keeping it a mystery, and just all we know is she has a plan. We don't know why she's doing it. We just know that this is what's happening. But there has to be a why, because I don't think Blizzard would leave out the why. They would definitely... I feel like we're definitely going to get an answer. Whether people in the fandom like the answer, or it's an answer that's satisfactory to all the people saying, oh, she's playing 4D chess, we hate this character, what are they doing, Blizzard don't know how to write characters anymore. I think Blizzard know exactly what they're doing with Sylvanas. Oh, the discipline. Yeah, the discipline artifact. Yeah, it's supposed to be like a staff, like almost like a Ashbringer casting staff. Yeah. Theoretically speaking, I suppose. That's the benediction, right? Is it benediction? Personally, I like my favorite. One of my favorite artifact weapons was Zalatath, or Naifu, as she's affectionately known. But Zalatath, what they did with Zalatath is amazing as well. I think there's this kind of group circle jerk of cynicism within the Warcraft community, sadly. And what I mean by that is that people are so quick to judge story elements as bad, or potentially even that poorly written. But they aren't paying. But I don't think. Oh, the arcane staff mocks you. I haven't done the arcane mage staff quest, but that's cool.
I require a target.
But there are people out there. I mean, haters are gonna hate no matter what they do. But there's so many naysayers that want to say Shadowlands is going to be terrible because. I'm like, we haven't even got alpha. We haven't even got alpha. We know basically what the setup is, which is Bolvar's been dethroned. I love that they're doing something with Bolvar, and how he's basically going to be the faction leader for the Ebon Blade, and he's going to be leading us into Shadowlands. And I'm hoping he's going to play the role of, if you think of Legion, I'm hoping he's our Khadgar. I would love to see Bolvar 4-Dragon in that role, and I want Bolvar 4-Dragon to gain some power, and I want the Death Knights to have like some expansive lore in the Shadowlands, because, you know, I think that's going to be interesting to see. So who's going to be running the Scourge? Well, that's the thing. The Scourge lost their leader. Bolvar's Helm of Domination was broken by Sylvanas, and so we've been told the pre-patch event for Shadowlands is going to be a second Scourge invasion. So the Scourge start attacking again because Bolvar's lost his ability to control the Scourge, because the Helm of Domination was broken to split the rift into the Shadowlands, which is going to be so sick. Do a second Scourge invasion? Yeah, sign me up. But at the same time, I think it's going to be weird because we know that oh, the Helm of Domination, yeah, the Nazgul helm thingy, yeah.
Hello. Safe travels.
Yeah, so
Hey there.
yeah, so the Helm of Domination was a Nathrazim relic.
See you later.
And the Nathrazim crafted it to bind Ner'zhul to the Frozen Throne.
Safe travels.
And what they created was
Hello.
oh yeah, well, I heard this really interesting fact about the Wrath event, which it's true, but I still have a hard time believing it's real, which is that the World Health Organization and universities used the pre-Wrath Plague event as a field study for real pandemics because of how it was spread and how it was carried, and I thought that was amazing. I think you know, it is real. It's well documented. If you look at World of Warcraft Plague and Pandemic or something, you'll be able to find it. Just going to end this part for YouTube, not ending the stream. Just a moment.